So today, I'm going to, it's not exactly a lecture, it's more a set of information that I have put together to show you. Hopefully it'll be quite an eye-opener, but also some fun, lots of little bits of videos to show you, and my little goodie bag of things we can do about plastic. Okay, so I'm going to be jumping in and out of screen sharing a lot today, and please let me know if I start talking and I've either forgotten to change the screen share or you're not seeing it for some reason. Okay, so let's see here. The first one that I wanted to start with, oh gosh, okay, I think it's that one, yes. Okay. Right, so you may or may not have heard of the organization earthday.org. Earth Day is April the 22nd, I believe, every year, and they hold all kinds of events all over the world to try to raise awareness about many different issues that are going on that are affecting the environment, affecting forests and the Amazon, affecting animals, the polar bears with the ice cap melting. So they do all kinds of events to highlight that. So I'm going to concentrate on the plastic stuff because for some odd reason that did not come up in the chapter. So let's see. So first idea, all right, is where most of us have been for quite a few years now, all right, is this first column here. This idea that we should try to maybe reduce our plastic use, reuse, so like if we get a plastic water bottle, we should use it more than once before we throw it away, and try to recycle plastic, all right? And the recycling idea is challenging when you live in rural New Mexico because they don't do a pickup for recycle like they do in cities. Although I don't know that they do a pickup in Albuquerque, so it may just be a New Mexico thing. No, they do a pickup in Albuquerque because my friend Mary has a separate color bucket for her recycle. So if you're here, right, you have to get a little creative with recycling in general. There's nowhere in Portales to recycle cardboard. So I fill my car up with any car, you know, I mean, we live in the middle of nowhere. I don't know about you, but I live on Amazon. If I didn't have Amazon Prime, I think I'd go crazy. So I'm personally responsible for killing half the rainforest in the Amazon, I'm absolutely certain. Right, so I fold all the boxes up, I stuff them in the car, and when I've got a car full, I take them up to Clovis, and they have a cardboard recycling bin at Albertsons and at Walmart in Clovis. So that's how I manage my guilt with Amazon Prime. Plastics and soda cans, beer cans, fizzy water cans, you can recycle at the city dump. So that's good. And plastic bags, if you have to use plastic bags, You can recycle those at Walmart. They have a big, what do you call it, crate thing to stuff your plastic bags into. Right, so there are ways of recycling plastic in Portales. It just means that you have to put a little more effort and kind of cut out 10 minutes of a week to get it done, right? What Earth Day are trying to suggest is that instead of our first column, that we change our mindset a little bit, all right? And instead of reducing our plastic use, we should just remove plastic use. So I don't think you can actually get a plastic bag in Albuquerque anymore. In certain towns, I know back in the UK, if you don't bring your own bags and you want a plastic bag, you have to pay for it, right? So there are several different mechanisms, not the right word, but there are several different strategies that city councils are taking to try to remove plastic from the environment. Portales hasn't done that. I would love to see that happen because it's, you know, it's so windy here that the dustbins blow open and rubbish flies around and we've got plastic bags hanging in the trees all over town. It's not very pretty. So can we remove plastic completely? It's actually harder than you think, and I'll show you a video to show you that later. Refuse, don't reuse plastic. Refuse plastic. Don't use plastic water bottles. Don't use plastic straws. I'll talk to you a little bit about that. I'm not so sure that I agree with the last one, the rally. I mean, yes, if there's a rally or a walk to raise funds, then that's one thing. But I don't know that in my heart, I haven't quite bought into replacing the recycling yet, because to me, until we get here, removing it from our immediate environment, then I can't stop recycling. So I'm not quite bought into the last one just yet. Okay, and then there's lots and lots of information here, tips, okay, all kinds of things. Alright, so the next one I want to show you. Says, am I going to be able to find it? Is it on there? I think it's on that one, which is a bit of a bummer. That doesn't always come up. Let me switch these into Chrome tab because it does not like. Where did we go? It's my water bottle. That's not doing my shush. There. Huh. Disappeared. Okay, let's do this. I think it's this one. Sorry, guys, I'm being very clumsy today.
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help. This sentence is grammatically correct, but it's wordy and hard to read. It undermines.
All right, let's try this again.
The writer's message and the word choices.
This is the story of 3 plastic bottles, empty and discarded. Their journeys are about to diverge with outcomes that impact nothing less than the fate of the planet. But they weren't always this way. To understand where these bottles end up, we must first explore their origins. The heroes of our story were conceived in this oil refinery. The plastic in their bodies was formed by chemically bonding oil and gas molecules together to make monomers. In turn, these monomers were bonded into long polymer chains to make plastic in the form of millions of pellets. Those were melted at manufacturing plants and reformed in molds to create the resilient material that makes up the triplets' bodies. Machines filled the bottles with sweet, bubbly liquid, and they were then wrapped, shipped, bought, opened, consumed, and unceremoniously discarded. And now here they lie, poised at the edge of the unknown. Bottle 1, like hundreds of millions of tons of this plastic breadline, ends up in a landfill. This huge dump expands each day as more trash comes in and continues to take up space. As plastics sit there being compressed amongst layers of other junk, rainwater flows through the waste and absorbs the water-soluble compounds it contains, and some of those are highly toxic. Together, they create a harmful stew called leachate, which can move into groundwater, soil, and streams, poisoning ecosystems and harming wildlife. It can take bottle 1 an agonizing 1,000 years to decompose. Bottle 2's journey is stranger, but unfortunately no happier. He floats on a trickle that reaches a stream that flows into a river, and a river that reaches the ocean. After months lost at sea, he's slowly drawn into a massive vortex where trash accumulates, a place known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Here, the ocean's currents attract millions of pieces of plastic debris. This is one of 5 plastic-filled gyres in the world's seas, places where the pollutants turn the water into a cloudy plastic soup. Some animals, like seabirds, get entangled in the mess. They and others mistake the brightly colored plastic bits for food. Plastic makes them feel full when they're not, so they starve to death and pass the toxins from the plastic up the food chain. For example, it's eaten by lanternfish. The lanternfish are eaten by squid. The squid are eaten by tuna. And the tuna are eaten by us. And most plastics don't biodegrade, which means they're destined to break down into smaller and smaller pieces called microplastics, which might rotate in the sea eternally. But Bottle 3 is spared the cruel purgatories of his brothers. A truck brings him to a plant where he and his companions are squeezed flat and compressed into a block. Okay, this sounds pretty bad too, but hang in there, it gets better. The blocks are shredded into tiny pieces, which are washed and melted so they become the raw materials that can be used again. As if by magic, Bottle 3 is now ready to be reborn as something completely new. For this bit of plastic with such humble origins, suddenly, the sky is the limit.
So, my question then to you is, had you heard of the big floating plastic islands in the ocean? Anybody had heard of those before?
I didn't know there were 5 of them. I knew there was 1.
Right. Yeah, I was shocked when I heard 5. I knew there was 2, but I didn't know there were 5, no. And so the next little piece of film actually gives us real, like that was just cartoony, but now with the next little bit of film gives us a real picture of this floating plastics. Anybody got any questions before I try to goof up getting the next one up? Oh, actually, before I play this, let's see around.
Behold, the new icy glazed apple fritter. Finally, there's a way to turn your coffee into a dipping sauce.
And of course, we can't get rid of that one,
Sweets.
heaven forbid. Okay, so before we do that, so I mentioned maybe on Monday that, you know, sometimes it's real easy to feel like I'm just this little one person, anything I do doesn't make a difference, okay? But I think it really does, you know, if you thought about how many million people are there in America? A lot. Yeah, I mean it's 80, 90, maybe even more million people in this country. Just think if every single person did one thing, right? That would be a whole heap of plastic that didn't get into the environment, okay? So, and I know that when you're students, that sometimes you can think, well, that's something I'll do later because it's expensive, right? I have to, the alternatives to using plastic are going to cost me money and I don't have money, all right? So let me point out my first easy cheat that won't cost you anything at all right? So if you use hand soap at home, all right, and you buy those nice, convenient, pretty color hand soap bottles, right, that you squirt and use, okay, you can replace that with a bar of soap, right? And that bar of soap may even be cheaper than your squishy hand soap, all right? And the worst thing that the bar of soap causes you is every now and then you have to wash the soap dish, right? And that soap dish costs $1 at Walmart. You could probably go to the thrift store and buy a little side plate or a saucer from a cup and saucer set for 50p, right? This is not going to cost you money, and the soap's cheaper than that anyway, so you'll make money. And if you think back to what we did last week about the coronavirus, remember the information that we were looking at said that actually a bar of soap is a better way to keep your hands clean than hand sanitizer, because the soap makes the virus slide off your skin. So it's a win-win, right? And it's cheap. So if you use this, it's easy to replace it with this, and you just got rid of all that plastic out of your house. Okay? Then the next one that I think is pretty simple, even for students. I mean, many of us have cats and dogs, okay? I know that a lot of the students even have cats and dogs. So don't use plastic bags, right? So this one is a double whammy again because I got this at PetSmart. I don't know what it cost, 75 cents, $1, I don't remember, right? But that money for the bag goes to helping animals in shelters. So I help the animals in the shelters and I don't have to take plastic bags home from the supermarket, right? So that's great. And for those of you who have cats, something I did a few years ago was stop buying cat litter in those big plastic tubs and start buying the cat litter that is in cardboard boxes. Right, so Arm & Hammer, and there's a couple of other brands, Fresh Step I think, now sell their cat litter in cardboard boxes rather than plastic tubs. And when I'm done with the cat litter, I can recycle the cardboard box, right? So it doesn't cost any more than the stuff in the plastic tubs. I've got to have cat litter anyway, so that's a way I can cut out some more plastic from the house. All right? And then this one, maybe we'll have to wait until you have a job, but there are a lot of companies now that are making these little vegetable fruit supermarket bags. So instead of pulling the plastic bag off the roll when you want a pile of apples, now I've got my own little bag and I put my apples in here and I don't have to take plastic bags home, right? Now, they're not super expensive, but they're not dirt cheap. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that option as a student. But, you know, it's really cool to be the person in the supermarket putting my apples into my bag that I brought with me, right? It's really a good plan, I think. How much plastic can we get rid of, right? And then my bamboo kick. So let's do the straw thing first. There'll be some more information about straws coming up. But straws are murderous for sea life, right? They're really a bad deal. And it's very easy to get other options for straws now. So in Walmart the other day I saw a bag of silicone straws hanging somewhere. It wasn't very expensive. You can buy glass straws that are probably more expensive than that. You can also buy stainless steel straws. I wouldn't use a stainless steel straw personally because it's going to get really, really cold if you've got it in a frappuccino or a slushie, and then I think, ooh, it's going to be uncomfortable on the lips, so I wouldn't get a stainless steel one. But the other option that I really like is bamboo, because bamboo is sustainable. It grows like a weed in many areas of the world. You can't kill it once it's growing, and it's cheap and easy to manipulate into other things. And to buy a pack of bamboo straws at Amazon, you're going to pay like $10 for 10 straws. So you could get together with a group of friends, right? You could get 5 of you, each pay $2, get a pack of 10 and have 2 bamboo straws and never use a plastic straw ever again, right? So the options don't have to be expensive, okay? And then my last, oh no, not my last one. Oh, instead of plastic toothbrushes, you can buy bamboo toothbrushes. That's not an option I would suggest for students necessarily. They're not super expensive, and you can buy them in packs of 5, so you could get together. But especially if you do a lot of traveling and you have to carry a toothbrush with you, right, then bamboo toothbrush, okay? And then my last option, again, not probably an option for students, but something to think about after school, is to carry your own cutlery with you for when you eat out, right? So if you're not going to go to a posh restaurant where there's going to be real cutlery, okay? If you're going to get takeout, or you're going to go to, you're going to go get lunch somewhere where the cutlery is going to be plastic, right? Even if it's a salad bar place, the cutlery tends to be plastic, right? You can buy bamboo cutlery, carry that with you, and then you don't have to use the plastic cutlery that they're providing, right? So all of these things make a difference, right? And my next kick, the one I'm working on at the moment, and I've got several different options going, I'm trying to work out the best one, is to get rid of Ziploc bags. Get rid of them. So I've got some different brands of silicone bags with a Ziploc, and they go in the freezer. I don't have to use a plastic bag. So I'm working on which brand is the most reliable, right? So just little bits at a time. Right? How do I get rid of, what's the next bit of plastic in the house I'm going to tackle? Right? So as I said, at the moment it's Ziploc bags and cling film. So I'm working on, I've got some cotton, and they're covered with wax, and you can use them instead of cling film. But I'm not having as much success with that as I want to have, because when you have to I tried to re-wax one of them and I made a big mess. So I've got to put some more work into that one. Okay? So questions, comments? No questions and comments? Which ones would you be willing to try? Let's go that way. Nothing? Oh, guys, come on. There's not one plastic thing in your life you're willing to try to give up?
I would try like bringing my own bag to the grocery store, maybe.
Excellent. That's a good start, right? And it's a cheap one to start off with. So, you know, it's easy to do. And as I said, sometimes you can find bags that are also, you know, if you've got to pay for them, they're also giving money to some good cause that needs it. So, okay, let's have a look. Uh-oh, I'm talking too much. We want to get to see all our friends. Here we go.
8 million metric tons of plastic trash enters the sea from land every year. The equivalent of 5 plastic bags filled with trash for every foot of coastline in the world. Across our ocean, plastic trash flows into circulation, dispersed almost everywhere, but concentrating in huge swaths in the midst of global currents, breaking down into smaller and smaller pieces, ingested by species across the marine world, and sinking to the bottom of the sea.
The ultimate goal of the new plastics economy is to design an economy where plastic packaging never becomes waste. And to do that, we need every single player in the chain to change the way that they do things.
But marine pollution comes in many forms. Industrial, agricultural, and urban waste also sweep into the sea, fueling explosions of algae that rob marine ecosystems of the oxygen they need to survive. With sustained pollution, these areas become dead zones, which already exist in more than 400 locations across the globe. But nutrient pollution can be managed through change in major contributing systems like agriculture.
I'm going to stop this one because there's another one I want you to see that's more, it's going to be more, stop that one, come on, oh my gosh. Let me pick up this other one then. I think it's that one. I lost it again. There's one that has, let's see if it's this one. Control. That's the one I want. Okay, stop now. All right, and the other one I wanted to show you, there won't be time, but I'll show you the link and then you can maybe watch it another day. That one.
Half of which we'll use just once and then throw.
Okay. Sorry. I need to make my notes a little bit clearer.
Plastic is wonderful because it's durable, and plastic is terrible because it is durable. Almost every piece of plastic ever made is still on the planet in some form or another.
Oh, you're not seeing this, are you?
Globally this year is expected to be more than 300 million tonnes.
Half of which we'll use just once and then throw away. By 2050, when the population explodes to almost 10 billion people, it's expected that plastic production...
Are you seeing this, guys?
No, ma'am.
Ah. Could you hear it? Could you hear it? Oh, goodness. I apparently should have stayed in bed this morning. Where is it now? I hate the system. All right, there it is. Why can't I get it up on the screen share?
will triple. The problem with that is that today only a fraction of the plastic that we produce is recycled. The rest ends up in our environment, and it's coating our lands and our oceans like a disease.
Garbage thrown away in the United States can make its way to Antarctica. Plastic in our coastal waters is pulled into the centre of massive wind-driven, churning circular gyres. There are many other ocean currents also diverting the trash all around the surface of the ocean. In reality, it's just one ocean with no boundaries. Lord Howe Island is a World Heritage Site and home to migratory seabirds like the shearwaters. Seabirds are incredibly helpful because they act like an army of scientists. They travel thousands of miles across the ocean. They pick up plastic off the surface of the ocean, they bring it back to their rookeries where they feed it to their chicks, and that provides an incredible amount of scientific data in terms of where the plastic comes from, its distribution, and how it breaks up on the ocean surface. Dr. Jennifer Labers, she's devoted her life to studying the plight of seabirds. Shearwaters are incredible birds. They migrate thousands of miles, stopping only here to breed.
Yeah, the stomach is very, very full, and if we look here, there's some very dark pieces, some very light white pieces, and if you see, as I push on this, it's absolutely rigid, completely full of plastic all the way up.
This is amazing.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Absolutely no doubt this bird died as a result of that plastic. That is literally a gut full of plastic. It's quite alarming, isn't it?
Oh, it's awful.
Range of plastic types and colours. We've got everything from the blues and the reds
The
to
stomach's just filled with big pieces too.
big sharp
Heavy.
pieces.
I'm going to forward this a little bit.
No, look at the size of the big black piece.
That is an enormous piece of plastic.
Unbelievable.
So then they count out all the pieces of plastic.
234 pieces of plastic out of that one bird. Is that a record?
Not even close, unfortunately. So for the species, the record is 276 pieces of plastic inside of one 90-day-old chick. And that plastic, when we weighed it out, accounted for 15% of that bird's body mass. So that's a pretty scary statistic. If we translate that into human terms, it gets even worse. That would be equivalent to you and I having somewhere around 6 or 8 kilos of plastic inside of your stomach. It's equivalent to about 12 pizzas worth of food inside of your stomach.
Okay. So, sadly, we've run out of time. And I've also got a YouTube clip of a young lady who tried to take plastic out of her life completely for 1 month. And I'll put that link up for you. I would highly recommend it because it's really interesting where she found bits of plastic and the ideas she came up with to try to avoid plastic in her life. So I will get that set up so that it's a little easier to find than my complete debacle of videos today. I've got to label them better, and I've got to work out how to get this share screen thing to work a little more easily for us. Any questions or comments? What did you think about all that plastic in that bird's stomach?
to how you thought when she cut open the seagull, it just looked like a trash can. It didn't look like something.
Yeah, shocking, isn't it? You know, and I think we just don't, like humans just generally, we don't think about the consequences of our actions. You know, plastic's so convenient. And we just don't stop and consider where it's going once we've used it, you know. So, yeah, hopefully, sorry it was a little bit muddled. That's what happens when you oversleep and you're running late. Nothing ever goes smoothly. The one time you need it to. So, yeah, I am sorry it was a little bit muddled. Hopefully you got some things that were useful out of it. And as I said, I would highly recommend, I'll put the clips, I'll put the links for all these up, so that if you want to watch them again, or you want to show them to your friends or to your mum, right? Because if we can get, you know, if you get one more person that says, oh, I'm not going to use a plastic bag, right? That's always a win. All right, so please remember that Friday is put aside for you to get into your group collaborate rooms and work with your partner on starting to put your PowerPoint together. All right, I've sent the outlines back from everybody. I'm still waiting on a couple. I will check that again today, and I'll get those back if I get them. And yeah, use Friday, all right? And then that room is open anytime you need it. And then on Monday again, I will come into the regular classroom in case you have questions. But Monday again is put aside for you to work with your partner. So you don't have to come to the general classroom unless you've got a question for me. Okay? All right, gang. It's going to be baking ridiculously hot, but enjoy it. It shouldn't be this hot, but let's make the most of it. All right?